the prayer that reprograms the mind. They told you this prayer never existed, that it was a myth, a whisper from dreamers and heretics. But the truth is, it was stolen, hidden, buried under centuries of dust and doctrine, because it didn't beg for mercy. It rewired the soul. It wasn't about asking for salvation. It was about remembering you already were. A sequence of sounds and silences that unlocked the original script of your mind, erasing the lines they programmed into you. And if you listen closely, you might hear it tonight between heartbeats. Before we go further, comment where you're watching from and subscribe. The first time I heard it, I thought it was just a melody, low and trembling, carried by the wind through broken chapel windows. But the more I listened, the more it began to rearrange my thoughts, pulling memories I had never lived into sharp focus. A voice, neither male nor female, whispered in a rhythm older than language. You are not what they made you. Each repetition peeled away a layer of the false self, the mask I didn't know I was wearing, and for the first time I wondered, if this prayer survived, what else did they hide? The elders called it dangerous, not because it harmed, but because it freed. They warned that those who spoke it aloud would never see the world the same way again, and maybe that's why they erased it from the books, because a mind once awakened cannot be caged. I met a man who claimed to have carried the prayer in his memory since childhood, though he'd never heard it spoken. He said it arrived in dreams like a visitor with no face, teaching him to dismantle fear word by word. I asked him to teach me. He only smiled. When he finally spoke it, the air thickened, as if the walls themselves were listening. Each syllable seemed to echo twice, once in the room and once inside my chest. My vision blurred, not from dizziness, but from something pulling at the edges of reality, peeling it back like old paint. The prayer didn't ask for blessings. It commanded remembrance. Images flooded in, my own hands but not these hands, building cities of light, faces I loved but had never met, and beneath it all, a steady pulse, the same frequency as my heartbeat, telling me, wake up. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time my eyes closed, the prayer replayed itself, perfectly, like it had been etched into my bones. But with it came something else, a weight in the air, as if unseen eyes were studying me. My phone lit up at 3:17 a.m., a message from an unknown number. Do not speak it again. No name, no trace. Only those words, glowing in the dark. I felt the walls hum, faint but steady, matching the rhythm of the prayer. That's when I realized the system doesn't just fear this knowledge, it hunts those who remember. The next day, my reflection wasn't quite right. The mirror showed my face, but the eyes, they were sharper, older, like they'd seen centuries I hadn't lived. On the street, strangers glanced at me too long, as if recognizing something they couldn't name. I felt their attention like static on my skin. At night, the prayer began to change. New syllables slid in, uninvited, as if someone else was speaking through me. I woke to the sound of footsteps in my hallway, though my door was locked, and then a whisper in the dark. You were never meant to stop. It wasn't just a prayer, it was a key. Each phrase turned unseen locks in the mind, revealing rooms I never knew existed. In one, I found the memory of a conversation with someone who had not yet been born. In another, I saw the architecture of my own thoughts, and how the system had rearranged them like furniture in a borrowed house. The prayer was undoing it all, restoring the original blueprint. But with every door I opened, I felt the watchers draw closer, not to destroy me, but to keep me from telling you what comes next. They didn't knock. They didn't need to. I woke to find 3 figures standing in the corner of my room, their outlines blurred as if they were made of smoke. No eyes, no mouths, yet I could feel their gaze pressing against my thoughts. One of them stepped forward, and the air grew cold enough to burn. A voice, inside my head, not in the air, said, "Return the words." I realized then they weren't here to harm me. They were here to seal the lock again. And if I stayed silent, the prayer would live in me forever. I didn't answer them. My silence was my rebellion. The tallest figure leaned closer, and I felt the weight of centuries pressing through my skull. Images of burned libraries, torn scrolls, and silenced voices flashed behind my eyes. All the times this prayer had been erased. It always begins with one the voice warned. My pulse hammered in rhythm with the words, defying their demand. Then, without touching me, they were gone, leaving the air sharp and empty. But the prayer still pulsed inside, louder now, as if it knew it had survived another attempt to be buried. It began quietly, a cashier humming the melody without knowing why, a child on the bus mouthing the words I'd never spoken aloud. The prayer was moving through me, leaking into the world like light through cracks in a wall. I tried to stop it, to hold it in, but it was no longer mine to control. Strangers would meet my eyes and suddenly fall silent, as if they'd just remembered something they were never meant to forget. And I understood. The system couldn't hunt me fast enough. The prayer was already inside too many hearts to be erased again. That's when the final truth came. Not in a dream, not in a vision, but in the simple stillness between breaths. The prayer was never about words. It was a frequency, a living code hidden in human memory, waiting for someone to strike the first chord. Speaking it only awakened what was already inside. Every face I saw carried the same spark, the same original blueprint. The system's greatest secret was never that it erased the prayer, but that it planted it in all of us, certain we'd never dare unlock it. They were wrong. Is this story resonating with you? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's continue. Now when I walk through the city, I hear it everywhere. In the rhythm of footsteps, in the rustle of leaves, in the pause before someone speaks. The watchers still linger at the edges, but their presence no longer feels like a threat. Perhaps they too have begun to remember. I don't know how far the prayer will spread, or what it will change, but I know this. Once a heart remembers, it cannot be unmade. Maybe you've felt it too, quietly waiting in you. Have you ever done something kind that changed a life forever? Tell me in the comments. And if this story made you feel something, share it with someone who needs to remember who they are.